Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time again today. We're back over here at the cabin. It is a heat index of 108 right now. And to be honest with you, this is the second time I'm shooting this video. The first time the wind got up to like 30 miles an hour and you could not even hear my voice in the video. So I'm over here trying to redo this thing. I always hate these kind of things, guys, but it's part of it. And I'm really tired. I'm tired of it. You know, and that's the title of this video is I'm tired of it. And I know a lot of you are going to ask the question, what is it that you're tired of? Well, when you live in a home and things are always a certain way, and then all of a sudden you can't use part of your house because stuff's just all in the way. It makes it extremely aggravating, especially when it's a room that's like my dining room. It is a room that's designed to be elegant, to be nice, to have a formal dinner. It has the octagon look to it, the big giant windows. It has 5 different types of lighting in that room to create the ambience in it, if you want to use that word. To create the mood or whatever. It has the octagon ceilings in it with the rope lighting and everything to make it a very special room. It has a speaker system in it where you can listen to music while you're actually dining in it. And you come into it right now, and those of you who watch our videos on a regular basis will know what I'm talking about. When you come into it, there's like, right now, as I speak, there's like 200 pounds of potatoes laying in the floor on a tarp. There's 100 pounds, right at 100 pounds of tomatoes laying in there. There's about 30 or 40 pounds of onions. You know, there's just jars piled everywhere. Canners are all stacked up everywhere. Lids, rings, canned food, empty jars. All this stuff is just, the whole room is just piled full. But, let me say this. Even though I'm tired of it being that way, I'm very thankful. I'm thankful that the good Lord above is good enough to me to give me this much food to put up. Because, let me be honest with you, those of you who watch us know, here at Deep South Homestead, this year has been a very trying year for us as far as growing stuff. We've had floods. We're in drought now. We're in extreme heat now. We've had colder temperatures than we normally do, which is causing our soil to be colder down deep than it is up on the top. The extreme temperature is really destroying most of our crops. We have harvested a lot of things. And I'm not trying to say we're not raising anything, because we are, really. We're raising a good bit of stuff here at Deep South Homestead. It's just that things like, say our sweet potatoes, for instance, we planted 700 sweet potato draws, and right now I'll be lucky if I have 200 to 250 of them that actually is making it. The others, just the extreme heat just killed them. And it has literally destroyed them. Things that normally do really, really good here, we're having trouble with. Now we have tomatoes planted on the black row covers, and it's terrible. It's just terrible. You know, they're not doing anything. I mean, we're getting a few tomatoes off of them, maybe a 5-gallon bucket full every 2 or 3 days or something like that. But that's not enough to do any kind of canning or making salsa or anything like that. Our onions this year made, but they only made, like, when we chopped them up, we only had like 4 to 5-gallon bagfuls of onion, which will not carry us through a year. We can't do any canning with it. So where we've been blessed at is God has arranged it so that we have a U-picket within 15 to 20 miles of us. We've been there on 3 different occasions. Those of you who watch our videos will know. And each time we go, we pick between 5 and 7 5-gallon bucketfuls of vegetables. And on top of that, we buy boxes of stuff like squash. We've had no luck with squash this year. Wanda's candy corn garden around here by the cabin has had some squash in it, but not much. Now, it's a completely shaded garden. It gets like 3 hours of sunshine a day, and it's the only garden we have that's really doing okay. We did harvest some green beans out of the front garden up there. We were able to put up probably half of what we usually put up. The English peas, the freeze knocked them back. Thought we'd lost them, but they kind of pulled back out right at the end, and we was able to get about half the English peas that we normally get. Carrots was fair. They weren't the best we've done, but they were fair. So when the U-picket came up for us, we decided, you know what? Because we're short on some stuff, we're going to go to the U-picket. And we picked, I think now we're up to probably 250 pounds of tomatoes we've picked so far. And I know we've bought three half bushel boxes of squash to put up, and like 6 5-gallon bucketfuls of bell peppers, 4 bucketfuls of purple hull peas and stuff like that, so that we have enough to put in the freezer. Well, a lot of this stuff is what's in my floor right now because we're making salsa. We realized that this recipe that we had really works for us. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't know how you call it salsa because it's not hot or it don't have any cilantro or all this kind of stuff in it. This salsa is a generic salsa for us because we use it to make pizza sauce out of it. We put it in a blender and make pizza sauce. We can add what we want with it. If we want the cilantro with it then. We can mix it with oregano and use it for spaghetti. Or we can just open the lid on the jar and put some in a plate. We can just dip it out and eat it with chips like it is. It's a sweet salsa. We have some jalapenos in it. I think out of all of it, I think we only put maybe like 6 or 8 jalapenos in it or something like that. Well, actually 4 jalapenos per batch, and we did double batches, so there'd be 8 jalapenos in it altogether. And just to give it that little bit of a peppery taste, but it's still got enough sweetness to it that we call it sweet. Well, that's what we want to can. We don't go in out here and can a particular kind of salsa and it can only be used for one purpose. Our salsa can be used to make chili, like I said, spaghetti, pizza sauce. All these things can be used for that. And that's what we can because we don't believe in canning something that can be used for just one thing. Now, that's the beauty of a U-picket when you go to it. You have this smorgasbord of food. But now you know Danny. When I went to the U-picket, everything is beautiful and luscious. But I paid attention while I was there. Yes, I looked under the plastic because I checked under it to see what was going on, how they were doing this. I checked the spacing on particular plants and how they were spaced, the height of the rows, the width of the rows. And I think I have it pretty much down as to why theirs is so productive and ours is not. Because they're controlling the soil temperature, they're controlling the fertilization, they're controlling the moisture, they're controlling all these things in the soil. And that plant never has cold spots, warm spots, it's all the same temperature. And they're using the right amount of fertilizer to it on an hourly basis out there. And the plants just grow. But now, I checked in and done some research into these places, not necessarily this one, but what other U-pickets are, by law, they have certain rules they have to follow. And they cannot use certain chemicals on the plants unless there is a particular infestation of bugs. And to be honest with you, when I was out there, the blight has hit a lot of their tomatoes just like ours. So it tells me they've not sprayed anything for blight. I've seen stink bugs on lots of things, so I know they're not spraying for stink bugs or anything. So the food that I'm getting, I'm pretty comfortable with because I don't see where there's been any pesticides used, and plus there's rules that says they can't use them under certain circumstances. So the food may not be grown organically, but it seems to be pretty decent food, which is, I'm okay with that. But the bottom line is this: we're trying to stay ahead of what's coming. And most people would just sit back and say, well, I had a bad year, I'm not going to worry about it. You know, maybe next year. Well, we don't do that because we totally depend on our food source, because we don't buy a lot. We don't buy this stuff from the store. And as a result, we wanted to make sure we got plenty put up for the year to come. Now, when we look at things like Joseph in the Bible, when he was down in Egypt, and he interpreted the dream for the Pharaoh, and he told the Pharaoh there was going to be 7 years of plenty and there was going to be 7 years of lean. Now we know that that came true, and that they had stored up much grain, to the point that when the famine hit the land, that surrounding countries were coming into Egypt to get food themselves. The thing that really got me in these stories was this: when we say there's a famine, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing to eat. Lots of times when the word famine is used, it means that particular crops are just completely wiped out. And I say that because if you read the latter verses in that story, Jacob told his boys, he said, take some things down for the man. Take him dates and grapes, you know, and almonds and all these kind of things, pistachios, or I forget which one it is, but it mentions all these different fruits and nuts to take down there. Well, that got me to thinking. I looked here at Deep South Homestead. We're having a famine in some of our stuff. Sweet potatoes, for instance, there's just not going to be enough to make it for a year. You know, our peppers, even though we have them in pots, are doing great, but I have like 4 or 5 different varieties of peppers here as an experiment, but it's not enough to can, and it's not enough to get us through what we're going to need to get through, so we've had to buy them. So we've had a famine of food in a lot of aspects, but I have peach trees that have been loaded. We have canned and canned and canned peaches. I don't even know how many bushels of peaches we've got rid of. And I've got trees I'm looking at here that's still loaded with peaches. And I'm looking at my fig trees are loaded. Our blueberry trees were loaded. You know, my muscadines, I went down to look at them. I've never had that many muscadines on there. So even though some things are not doing well, just like in the story in the Bible, there's other things that are doing well. And we would not go hungry here. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at sugarcane. My sugarcane is probably 4 feet tall right now. Some of it over 4 feet. And it's doing well. But now we did lose some crops. We lost all of our mulberries. We lost all of our apricots. We lost all of our plums. You know, things like that. We've lost all of those because of a late freeze. But because our homestead is set up as a permaculture style homestead, everything around us is permaculture. We've put edible stuff into the landscape literally everywhere. You can walk out my door 365 days a year and you will find something to eat. So we're not going to go hungry. But the bottom line is this: in order to stock up and to store up, sometimes you have to do the U-picket. If your stuff fails, you have to do U-pickets. Now, I do watch some different YouTube channels. I don't watch a lot of YouTube channels. I don't hardly ever watch any big YouTube channels. Mostly are smaller ones. Because lots of times I think those are the ones that's truly sincere, because they're showing what they're actually doing. And I've learned a great deal from different people in different parts of the country about different styles and different techniques that they're using. And I experiment with some of them here in the Deep South that I think might work. And some of them are doing pretty good. Now, here at Deep South, we have shipped out seeds to people all over the country just as experiments for them to grow and to do some videos for us so that we can see how that stuff does in their climate and how they'll plant them. You know, what technique will you use, you know, to get your stuff up One of our best one is we sent some seeds to Hall's Tool, some Cherokee tan pumpkins, so that they can kind of help get them back on the market. And guys, those things are like taking over the place. I mean, Travis and Greg have done a fantastic job with them. And that's what it's really all about, is helping one another through these times. Because when it actually happens, and it's going to at some point, we need to be the kind of people that are willing to help our fellow brother and sisters. At Deep South, that is our goal. We experiment with things here. If we find something that works in Zone 8, then we know that there's a lot of people in Zone 8 that this thing might very well work for them too. Now, of course, we have sandy soil. We don't have a heavy soil here. We do container gardening. We do raised bed gardenings. We quit the hugelkultur because it was a total flop here. We don't do back to Eden. It was a total flop here. But we're starting to use the row covers. We have some success with some things on row covers. Other things is not a success. So now I have a little experiment going over here. Wanda and I spent most of the morning this morning actually cleaning out a bed and rechecking the soil. We limed it, we fertilized it, and we soaked it down about 12 inches deep because we were digging with a shovel 8 inches deep, and literally there was no moisture in the ground because it's so dry and hot here that we saturated the ground with water, and then we came back and we put the black plastic over it. And we're putting sweet potato draws in it to see how the sweet potatoes will react to the plastic and being underneath the plastic. Will they grow? If they do, how will they do? So that maybe we can share a technique with you all, and maybe we do our field that way. I mean, who knows? If it works for us, then we would like to be able to just do the whole field that way. So it's a lot of experimenting going on here. But now we have our staple stuff that we don't veer from. We're still continually doing that. Guys, we're just trying to prepare for the uncertain days ahead. Now, the fact that my dining room floor is packed full of food right now, and I can't get to my table to eat. I have to eat at a different place in the house, and that's not who I usually am. I usually like to eat at the table with the family. But I'm also understanding enough to know that God has blessed us with a lot of food to be able to can. And once we get through this canning frenzy that we've been in, if you've seen Amanda from Freedom Makers video, she's talking about what we're doing over here, the canning frenzy that we're on. We're working together as a team to can for both of us. And we've learned that when you come together like this, you get a lot more done because you've got everybody in a concerted effort pitching in, and it really, really does help to get a lot done for both people. And it's really a blessing. So you can go check her channel out and let her know you come from Deep South over there, and hit that button and let them know that you're going to be watching her videos on a regular basis. I'm sure she would appreciate that because she's looking for her forever home place. And we're in the process of helping her do that, helping train her to this lifestyle, which she's really already good at it, to be honest with you. That's one of the only reasons we brought her here was because she's so like-minded. We knew she would fit right in, and she's picking up just like that and actually showing us some things that she's doing. So that's what it's really all about, is moving forward. And yes, I'm tired of it, but I'm also thankful. And I will get through this, because once we get through the big canning frenzy and all of our stuff is canned up, we can actually sit back and take a deep breath, and we can say, you know what, we've got another month before this comes in, we got another month before that comes in. Then we'll be back to canning this, or we'll be back to squeezing this, or digging that, or whatever. And we'll be getting ready for the winter months. Right now, I've been cutting a lot of firewood, splitting it and everything, getting it stacked when I can in the heat. And that's tough. It's really tough trying to, with my health conditions, trying to get this done. But God's making a way for us to do it. Now, at Wanda and I's age, we're having to work smarter, not harder. One of the things that like this morning, we were doing this bed, and I told her, I said, you know, if I hadn't took that tiller off yesterday, I could have just backed up here, and this would have been a 2-minute job. We could have just tilled this bed and been ready to do it in 2 minutes. But like it was, we had to dig it by hand because it would take too long to hook the tiller up on the tractor because of just the way it hooks up. It took 2 hours for us to do it, and a lot of back-breaking labor. So that's some changes that's going to be coming to Deep South Homestead in the next year. Is you're going to see some different techniques in gardening. I think we're trying to get it figured out if we can financially be able to afford some of the stuff that we need to do the mechanized farming with, then we're going to move in that direction. And stay tuned with some of our Deep South videos, and you'll see us actually doing some of these things. Now, we're not going to be doing any of them anytime soon. We're going to be getting ready to do them. Hoss Tool has some very great features over on their site. We're going to probably be looking into some of their stuff to get the proper irrigation system in, the proper fertilization system in. You know, some of these things we're going to be checking out with them so we can present those products to y'all. And if they work for us, then I'm sure y'all would probably be interested in them. And they're good people. Travis and Greg are really good people. And we really like working with them and their products because they're top-notch products there. And that's what it's all about, is having something that you can depend on to work with. Because the way the food system's going, guys, you know, they're talking, I look at a lot of different things that people send me. I look at a lot of the agricultural reports, a lot of the government stuff. We're in trouble. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. We're in pretty big trouble here with the food system. Now, there is plenty of food out there right now, but it's the trickle-down effect. We're talking to people in grocery stores that stocking shelves and stuff like that, and they're telling us that there's just no availability of some things, you know, and they can't get it in anymore, and so they're having to cut back. And this is just, I believe this is just the beginning of the problems that we're going to be facing. So I don't want to drag this out too much longer, but I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate you. And hopefully keep watching our videos. We have some techniques coming up here in the future. I'm hoping that will be a blessing to you all. Y'all have already been a blessing to us. We're learning some things about container gardening from some different channels. We're learning about the irrigation system underneath black plastic, the right mill of the black plastic, row cover versus black plastic. I mean, there's lots of things that we're looking at, you know, as to whether or not this stuff's going to work for us. Because we've tried the row covers this year. We've not had real good luck with the row covers. So we're going to be looking into just the black plastic and a particular mill of the black plastic with the irrigation system working under it like the row cover. Now, the row cover hadn't been a failure, don't get me wrong. It's just that it wasn't what we expected. So we're going to continue to use it and tweak it a little bit, but we're also going to do another one of our gardens in the black plastic next year with the irrigation system under it like the row covers. And we're going to see how it all works out. And as we experiment, you guys come along with us, and hopefully you can learn something. It might help you out on your channel or your homestead if you're not a YouTuber, and make life a little bit easier for you and grow more food. Hey, that's what it's all about. It's all about the food. And if you don't have the food, well, let's put it this way. Whoever controls the food controls the people. That's the bottom line. So control your own food so you're not controlled by somebody else. I'm going to leave you with that thought, guys. Thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.